Hey sports fans, welcome to the video. First off, a big thank you to the man you just saw on your screen there. It's Liam from Daytona who made this video possible, and I'll speak a little bit more about that in just a moment. But we're going to go straight into it. Heat 1. Now we're starting third on the grid. Remember, these heats are random grids, and if you start sort of towards the front or at the front in Heat 1, you'll start towards the back or at the back in Heat 2, so it's random, but overall it averages out. The man on our right, front right, is Justin Hammond. He is the leader in the heavyweight championship. Man on right in front of us is Nick Fallon. He is in the lightweight championship. Important we make a move on Justin, and actually we've got a good launch there. We're going to follow Nick through. Justin's still on our right hand side. We leave him space on the inside, but we're going to do it around the outside and breaking into turn 2. We are good, but even better is Tom Brown, who makes it up into second place. So a decent start. We actually started fourth on the grid. Sorry, it was fourth. I might have said third. We started fourth on the grid, up to second, and then down to third again. This is how it looks from the outboard. So you're going to see my head, my white helmet there poking out, and actually it's 3 wide. I didn't realise it was 3 wide there. I probably would have given even more space had I known. But yeah, Tom Brown making a move on the inside of Justin whilst I was making a move on the outside. Brilliant start for Tom Brown, actually, has to be said. He's gone up loads of places. So here we are, Nick Fallon leading, Tom Brown in second, myself in third, and importantly ahead of my championship rival Justin Hammond. So after race number 1, as we pull right up onto the back of Tom there, we're pretty good through this section actually. Now Nick and Tom ahead of us are lightweights, so we are third overall but leading the heavyweights, and that's the most important thing. Half thinking about going for a move on Tom here, but I know full well that Justin is right behind me at this stage, and if I do any kind of half-hearted move, or if I pull off a move which doesn't come off, or if I pull off a move that does come off, Tom's not going to be happy about that, and he's probably going to try and take me back again. That kind of battling is going to slow us down, and Justin is right there ready to take advantage of any mishap that I make. So discretion, better part of valour here, and we're just going to follow these guys round. Tom throws his arm up there, not sure why that was. Possibly thought it was a yellow flag, something like that. Maybe he was just waving to someone. Nice to wave to someone a bit there. Someone's been naughty. Someone actually, I couldn't quite see what that was there. But yeah, into our third lap now. And it's just about trying to stick with these guys. Now, I'm pretty good into turn 2, pretty good on the brakes there, but look at what happens here, and this is a perennial problem for me. The exit of turn 3, and you can see Tom just creeping away there. Didn't happen too badly that time, but some occasions, I feel that I've, as a heavyweight, you have to drive slightly differently. All right, and you're going to see these guys, these 2 lightweight drivers. You saw Tom there almost backing the kart in there. There's a little bit more movement in the kart there. He's done it again there. You'll notice that I don't slide the kart as much. Now I'm with ballast weighing in at 90 kgs. The lightweights are about 75 minimum. So the kart handling is going to be quite different. Now I'm actually going to have more grip. So you can see here, actually I close up in the braking and then through the corners. But just here, the lightweights obviously do have much better straight line speed. And again, you can see them doing that. But I have to say, I feel like I've got a reasonable measure over everyone in most parts of the track. But that infield straight on the exit of turn 3, on the entry to turn 4, really, really difficult for me. And you can see that these guys have just really, they're slightly faster than me pretty much everywhere. They edge away, and that's pretty much what happened in Heat 1. Not a huge amount to talk about there, really. So we're going to go on to Heat 2, and Heat 2 is actually a little bit more interesting. So we are starting down in 5th position here. So you have got, that was by the way, that was a win for Nick Fallon, with Tom Brown in second, myself third, which was a win in class. So Nick leading lightweight, myself leading heavyweight. And just have a look at Tom Brown in front of us here. He's really good at these starts. Now we're going to cut straight to the outboard, and then we're going to go back to the onboard, and you can have a look. And up the inside, left-hand side, is Tom Brown, who started 4th and has gone straight up into the lead. and we've actually followed him through. We got a good start there as well, and you can see as the field snakes its way round into the complex section, it's Tom Brown followed by Tom Angier, me, and then Nick Fallon up into third. So here's what he's done. He's got the momentum, and the space just opens up on the inside. So really kind of fortunate there. Half again thinking of a move up the inside, but Tom covers it off. He's obviously sensed where we are, and we're just gonna follow him round. And you'll notice that at the start of these heats, as Tom just gaps us on the infield straight again, you can see that's my real weakness, isn't it? That's the difference. That's why I'm not the fastest at these events. It's the infield straight there. Everywhere else, I'm sort of pretty even with the top guys, but that's the bit that I need to work on. You'll notice that right at the start of these heats, I'm able to keep up with these guys much better. It's just about tyre heat. It's a warm day today. But there is Nick Fallon up the inside of me, and there is a cigarette paper between us. There you can see shades of Mansell v Senna at Estoril in 1990, whenever that was. But a nice clean move there. We're going to go back and have a look at that in a minute, but Nick is up into second place now, and he's going to be chasing after Tom. I have got the whole field right on the back of me. Okay, so here we are into turn one. Nick actually thanks me there. He can see that I've not fought that too hard. And I'm not going to fight it too hard because obviously, like I said to you already, we're in a different championship. Yeah, you would have seen on the outboard that there's a driver in red there. That's Alex Tucker. Now, he is someone that we are fighting for the championship. And here he is now. We go a little bit wide, and he's punished us for it. And he's up into the lead in class. We're going to go up the inside, and we're going to do him on the brakes. Now, we didn't fight Nick too hard, but we do need to fight Alex because this is for position, and it's going to be really, really important that we keep him behind. I have to go defensive now, and you can see that small amount of battling has cost us a good second and a half, 2 seconds to the karts in front, yeah, it really, really slows you down. Now, actually, Nick has found his way onto the back bumper of Tom pretty quickly there as well. And it's about to kick off between these two a little bit as well in just a moment. So yeah, all to play for. And actually, I love just sort of sitting in these positions. I really enjoy watching these two battle because they're very even on pace. Yeah, sometimes Tom's slightly faster, sometimes Nick's slightly faster. Probably depends a little bit on conditions, also depending a little bit on what kart you get. I'm not a huge fan of talking about the kart and whether it's faster or not, because I think I've said this before, it can really hamper your progress if you're content to just blame your equipment rather than looking at what you could have done differently. However, having said that, it can actually be the case sometimes that a little bit of sort of kart, well, sometimes it can be kart dependent, and I'll talk to you a little bit about what I mean by that in a few moments time, but just for the next lap or two, you can see that we're sort of taking quite a lot of speed into some of these corners. Now, the reason that we're doing that is to stop Alex Tucker behind us from being able to get up the inside. It's not actually the fastest way around any kind of track. I mean, really, you want to be on the gas at the apex. Sometimes a corner like that one there, you want to be on the gas slightly before the apex because you've got a long straight. You want to be on the gas as early as possible. We can't really do that because we're defending, and the other man who's defending is Tom Brown. You can see Nick there on the outside forces Tom to take a narrower line into the left-hand turn 3 there, and that's going to really compromise his exit. Again, Nick taking the outside line, trying to sort his exit out. He's going to compromise the entry, but he's going to get a much better exit. He's going to get the kart straightened more quickly. He's going to be on full power more quickly than Tom. There he is again, looking at the outside line. He's going to carry more speed through, and there it is. There's the move. So Nick and Tom side by side. Actually, someone's been naughty again. Actually, here we are. Here's Nick back down into turn 1 there. He's again forced Tom to go quite narrow. You can see me there in third place, and Alex Tucker keeping me very honest behind, certainly less than a second difference between myself and Alex there. And yeah, it's absolutely all to play for the win in lightweights and the win in heavyweights. There's Nick again, looking, weaving left, right, seeing what he can do. Now Tom's actually going to be dragging Nick along here. There is a slipstream. It's not hugely powerful. It's not like Formula One where you can sort of see like 18 km/h difference sometimes. But you are going to get some kind of slipstream. We're doing about 56 miles an hour down the front straight there. So if you think that cyclists in the Tour de France do have some slipstream and do work together, you're certainly going to be getting some slipstream. We are not quite close enough to be benefiting from this slipstream just at the moment, so we don't bother. But you can see Nick right behind Tom there. He will be getting the slipstream. And actually Nick's got a better exit to turn one. And there's some rubbing. Both of them throw their hands up. Both of them have slowed themselves down, and we're going to go up the inside of Tom here. We kind of had to go up the inside of Tom, because if we slowed down and didn't overtake him, then we'd definitely be overtaken ourselves. But in doing that, Tom throws one up the inside of us. That compromises our exit, and again, that means that Alex Tucker is going to take advantage of us there. We are again going to have to go back up the inside because we don't want to lose that place. It doesn't really matter if Tom Brown gets past us, but it does matter if Alex does. And I'm going to go straight over to the right here, because you've got a very long right-hander into... yes, it is a right-hander, into turn one. And there you can see me, third position, defending from Alex. And Alex gets a good exit here. And he's just going to line us up. I'm going to brake very late, and here we just get a hit and we just get put into the barrier. Now Alex raises his hand to apologise. He sort of he knows he perhaps went in there, and I have to say at this stage, Alex made his apology for that move actually during the race and after the race. So no hard feelings at all. These things happen in karting. I'm sort of the opinion that if you can't accept the odd accidental contact, then you shouldn't be racing. That's not to say that I'm sort of necessarily thinking that just at this moment. Particularly as we go over the start-finish line, I'm sort of expecting a penalty for Alex there, and it does come, but it comes a little bit later on in this lap. One thing that I can't stand is deliberate contact. That wasn't deliberate contact. That's not the way that Alex Tucker drives. It's not the way that almost all of the Daytona drivers drive. Then again, you got to have a go, haven't you? If you don't have a go, then what's the point in turning up? So no hard feelings. Alex gets his penalty there, so hand goes up. He's going to have to go into the pit lane. Unfortunate for both of us there, really. But like I said, it clearly wasn't intentional. It's just one of those moves which went slightly wrong. So that's kind of put us down a couple of positions. It was down 3 positions. Alex has to take his penalty, so we go up 1 there. We've got it all to do now to try and get back ahead of these guys. So in the grey helmet in front of us, we've got championship leader in the heavy division, Justin Hammond. So we are going to need to try and get ahead of him if we want to get our championship back on track. Currently second in the championship behind Justin. It's very, very tight. We've only had 1 round, so plenty of time ahead, plenty for everyone to play for. Just behind is Flame. Now, she's a lightweight and obviously keeping Justin very, very honest here. But we've obviously had quite a lot of this heat. This heat is 10 minutes long. So we don't have that much longer left to do anything about these guys, and catching up with them and overtaking them are 2 very different things. And you can see they're gapping us slightly on the straight there, perhaps we can do something a little bit about them in the corners. So we're going to go for it. We're going to do absolutely all that we can. It's a race against time now to get onto the back of them and do something about them before we see the checkered flag. So just whilst we're watching this, you might be wondering why you're not on the bottom of my face. Normally at these Daytona events, you can see my hands working the wheel. Well, I went to my car and got my chin strap, and saw that it had broken. It was snapped in half. Not sure how that happened, but it did happen. So very, very kindly, Liam from Daytona took one of his, I think his actual personal GoPro mounts, and he stuck it on the front of this kart here, and that allowed us to get this wonderful footage. So thank you very much to him. Thank you also again, as always, to Aidan Fallon, who's taking the outboard shots, and for everyone watching as we close up on Flame there. Again, this is it, isn't it? Yeah, can we do it? I can look across. You can actually look across to your right. You won't be able to see it here, but I can actually see that this is going to be the last couple of corners. So can I get Flame? No, I can't. Into the last couple of corners. Half thinking about a lunge there, but not really worth it. Not really fair to do that. So we've got a P1 in class and a P2 in class. That's actually put us P3 overall on the grid. I was a little bit surprised to be up so high. Obviously depends a little bit on how other people get on as well, and if someone else had a dodgy heat. Alex Tucker, for example, finished last in the heat before. Because of the penalty. Actually, you know, he's out of position now. He should be much further up. He was really, really quick today. Now, this is really interesting. Tom Brown is the master of these starts. We're just going to slow it down here. Green flag drops, and if we slow it down, Tom's hung back, but as we cross the start-finish line, he and Nick are pretty much exactly even, but Tom is going faster. We're going to bump draft Nick here. It's going to push him along. We don't really want to fight him. So we're just going to push him along, but the wily Tom Brown, he's not crossed the line in first position, but he has crossed the line faster than Nick, and he's taken him down the straight. So it's a little bit like what George, what's his name? George Mercedes driver. Why have I forgotten his name? I really like him. George did to Perez anyway, in the French Grand Prix, which is actually happening in a couple of hours after this video. Nick's not going to have that though. He gets up the inside of Tom. Tom's not happy again. Hands get thrown, and this battle is not over. Yeah, we're just going to try and stick with these guys. Now you'll notice that I am trying to stick with Tom in Tom's slipstream now. We are at the moment close enough to get the benefit of the slipstream there. Again, half thinking about a move. We're early into this 15-minute final here, and my tyres have warmed up quicker than these guys. So at the moment I've got more grip, and that is that's kind of helping me mitigate the slower straight line speed that I'm facing in comparison to these guys. As these guys' tyres warm up, it's going to be a lot more difficult to stick with them, but for now I'm going to do my best. Yeah, it's been rich pickings recently with regard to karting. It's been yeah, I've started doing some Club 100 rounds as well, and actually last weekend I was down at Lyd. Now somewhat ridiculously, I managed to record qualifying, and then when I went to record the first race, I did a Club 100 SP60, which is basically 2 30-minute races in qualifying. I managed to hit on the first race the time-lapse button, which means that the whole 30-minute race was compacted into 5 minutes, and it was all sped up. I couldn't use it. And then for the second race, I managed to not turn the GoPro on at all. So absolutely disastrous sort of filming day for that Club 100 round. Real shame, actually. I've never been to Lyd before. Club 100, if for those of you who don't know, is a national arrive and drive championship using these 2-stroke Rotax 125 engines. So very, very similar to these karts here. Slightly different handling, slightly different feel. They've got a different braking system, but in terms of sort of overall pace, yeah, really very similar. I'd never been to Lyd before. There's a field of about 32 top drivers, and I have to say that the Club 100 drivers, it's a national championship, so the grids are bigger. And there are guys there who are literally some of the best arrive and drive 2-stroke karters in the country. I ended up qualifying 5th, and I was really, really pleased with that, I have to be honest. I went out, having never turned a wheel at Lyd before, Lyd Kart Circuit in Kent, never been there before. 15 minutes to qualify. To start with, everyone was overtaking me. But by the end, I'd managed to learn the track. and I'd managed to put in a lap time which was good enough for 5th on the grid. So yeah, really pleased with that. Now back onto this race, you can see here the top 3, myself, Tom Brown and Nick Fallon, we have a small advantage over the next 2. That's Justin Hammond and Alex Tucker. So Alex Tucker has made his way up. He was very fast today, like I said, nothing wrong with his pace at all, and he's on the back of Justin, and then Justin and Alex have a small gap over Flame and Mark, who are battling it out for the final podium position in the lightweight division. So yeah, all to play for, absolutely all to play for here. The next one, I'm hoping to get another video out because I'm back at Lid for the sprints. Just a little bit on Club 100. My first ever round in a Club 100 kart was Bayford Meadows, and I did that about 3 weeks ago. So when I say sort of rich pickings for karting, there's been loads of karting recently, which is really nice. Not good for my bank balance, but it is it's good for the soul. Never been to Bayford Meadows either. Bayford is another track in Kent. The thing about Club 100 is that you're going to be going all over the country. Some people really like that. In actual fact, I'm quite surprised. I have really enjoyed that. I don't like the travel, I have to be honest. That's not something that appeals to me. But learning a new track is something that I found really enjoyable, actually. I thought it would be sort of less enjoyable, but actually really enjoyed it. I have to say, really pleased with my first Club 100 appearance. Now, there are three divisions in Club 100. All the heavyweights will be together, so you won't be racing lightweights like you are here. As Tom sees us there, gives us a little wave. Hello, Tom. In Club 100, everyone's a heavyweight, but you have 3 divisions, and the newest drivers, you have to start in C3. Now, if you prove your worth, after a season you'll move up to C2, and then again if you prove your worth you'll move up to C1. So as a C3 driver, my first Club 100 round year, regardless of how many championships you've won elsewhere, you will be a C3 driver. That also means you will start at the back of the grids for the sprints. Now again, I've no problem with that at all, because the only way you can go is forward really, and actually as a video maker, seeing all the action in front of you is quite good fun. At the end of the 3 heats, you'll enter one of 3 finals: the C final, the B final, or the A final for the people who've done really well. About 32 drivers in each final. So again, we're talking about big grids here. We're talking about approximately 100 people racing for a Club 100 heavyweight round. We managed to put it on 6th place in the B final, which is got to go down as a success. Now we were also the top C3 runner, so we were in the B final and we were the top C3 runner. So that would have meant a class win had I not spun in and around lap 2. So really gutted. Being lap 2, the whole field went by. I managed to race back up and had a good battle with a few other drivers. So it was definitely a good race. GoPro battery died just before the end. It was a real excellent race to the finish line. So sorry to have missed that on the camera footage, but really good race. Now I was reading the race report, and actually it turned out that even though I'd spun, they did mention that I'd set the fastest lap in class, and actually that was a new class record as well. So again, have to go down as a success really for first time at the circuit. And I'm not, I'm certainly no sort of future F1 driver. Well, I'm too old, but I'm certainly not the world's greatest racer or anything like that. So I've got some quite humble expectations for the first year of Club 100. Well, listen to this, kids. When you have very low expectations of yourself, they're very easy to meet. So all good. That's what you want to do. Lower your expectations and then be happy. No, I'm joking, of course. You want to aim for the stars and hit the moon. That's really cringeable, isn't it? Never mind. Anyway, back to this race. Club 100, the next round for the sprints is Lid. I'm going back to Lid, and that is going to be approximately a week after this video. hits YouTube. It'll probably this video will probably go out on the Tuesday. I'll be back at Lid on the Sunday, so hoping to get another video out pretty soon, within about a week, 10 days, something like that. Back to this race. I mean, it's really interesting for me to see other people's lines and things like that. So I can see that Tom in front of us and Nick as well, they're putting a little bit more energy into their tyres. And I mentioned this, I alluded to this earlier, they're not going to have as much grip as me as a heavyweight. So I am going to have more grip, more weight pushing the tyres into the tarmac. Now what I'm not going to have is as much straight line speed. And actually you have to say that in these sorts of conditions, it is warm today, something like 30 degrees. I know in some parts of the world that's not particularly warm, but for England it is warm. In today, the tyres are going to be quite warm, they're going to be quite grippy anyway, so it's one of those days where you might expect the lightweights to be to have the advantage. If it was cold and raining, heavier drivers are likely to have a bit more of an advantage then, or certainly the straight line speed of the lightweights is mitigated by the lack of grip that they suffer. It does make quite a big difference to what you have to do, and you'll notice that Tom and Nick certainly have to put a little bit more energy into the tyres. You see Tom and Nick doing a little bit more sliding. I have to really make sure I try not to slide the car as much as possible, really, so I try to be as smooth as possible. It's not to say that I'm not pushing. I absolutely am pushing. The real skill when you're a heavier driver is getting the most out of the kart and most out of the lap time without overstepping it. And you'll see here, I mean, particularly turn 6. This is turn 5, but turn 6. This is an area where I'm not generally speaking. Actually, by the end of the day, not doing too badly. But that was a bit of an area of development for me. I was over driving there. Tend to get turn 8 a little bit better because you've got this long straight. I tend to go very conservatively in there and try and get on the gas as soon as possible down there. It is interesting looking at Tom and Nick race and what they do, and it wouldn't work for me necessarily, but very, very interesting. And looking at these guys racing as well, they're fighting for the championship in their respective class. And it's fantastic to watch them battling as well. So they're really, really even. Like I said earlier, sometimes Nick's quicker, sometimes Tom's quicker. Tom had an amazing Super Champs round 1. So we're just going to skip it forward again. You can see that Tom has gapped me ever so slightly. Nick has gapped him. So Nick was slightly quicker today. So Tom slightly quicker than me. Behind us, we have a 5-second gap. So we've got the last lap board now. All I need to do is make sure I don't do anything stupid. About a 5-second gap now to my rivals in the heavyweight class behind. You'll notice that I'm not going on any curbs at all here. Daytona were really strict today. They didn't want us going on any curbs. I have to say it made it a sort of slightly less enjoyable experience, I'd probably say, not being able to hit any curbs or anything like that. Not necessarily it's fun to go on curbs, but just that it kind of potentially can ruin your race if you get a penalty for just ever so slightly getting a bit of oversteer or understeer and hitting the curb. But it's all right. We didn't get any penalties or anything like that. There's the checkered flag. So it's a P1 in class, P3 overall. Here's Tom and Nick. There they are. Great sportsmanship there. And here's the heavyweight podium. Myself, Alex Tucker in red, Justin Hammond there. The lightweight podium, Flame in third, Tom in second, and Nick in first position. Thanks ever so much for watching. I'll see you for the next one.